What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WrestleRant Ranks, where every single Monday I, Graham G.S. and Matthews, do tier list rankings and quizzes. And today we're going to be doing the worst wrestling gimmicks as assembled by someone on tierlistmaker.com, West Coast Pop. So shout out to them. I came across this list and thought it was a fun one. Some of these I do not even remember. Most of these I am familiar with or remember very, very vividly. We will get into it and we will rank them from what they described as redeemed in the B category. There's not even an A category. That is how bad all of these gimmicks are. None of them even make the A category. But there is B, which is redeemed. Not that bad, which is C. Okay, it is that bad for D. F, and then just Thanos snapped out of existence. For those gimmicks and characters I just have no recollection of or am not really overly familiar with. So we will get onto that. We will get into that here on today's episode of WrestleRant Ranks. Thanks for tuning into the show. If you want to support the show, you can sign up to become a WrestleRant All Access Pass channel member to get videos like this ad-free and early before everyone else. More information on that down below in the description box. You can, at the very least, just like this video and subscribe. All that support is greatly appreciated. You can also check out all the other installments of WrestleRant Ranks down below in the description box once you're done with this one. Speaking of the description box, that is also where you can find the link for this tier list on tierlistmaker.com. Thank you again to West Coast Pop, at West Coast Pop _ on X, so check them out. This is a very interesting list. So again, this was compiled back in 2020, so I'm sure there's even more gimmicks and characters you can include in this list from recent years. But let's start from the top here, and I guarantee you after perusing through the characters and gimmicks they included, not a lot of these are going to make that B category, that redeemed category. A lot of these are just pretty fucking awful. Cameron Grimes, though, we'll start favorably, and then we'll kind of see where we work our way through from there. But Cameron Grimes, quite honestly, for a character I didn't really give a shit about when he first arrived in NXT 6 years ago. He's no longer there. He was released a year or two ago. But Cameron Grimes was a very good wrestler with a terrible gimmick. He had that stupid top hat. And I don't know if this accounts for his like millionaire gimmick. I don't think it does. This just looks like what he looked like when he arrived in NXT in 2019. He didn't get the millionaire gimmick until 2021. And honestly, even by late 2020, he was starting to kind of redeem himself as a character with some of the stuff he was doing with Dexter Lumis, among other people. So quite honestly, Cameron Grimes' character didn't end up being that bad. He actually grew to be a great fan favorite in NXT starting in 2021. So I'm going to call him up here to the B category, put him in the redeemed category, because he did end up redeeming himself. Emelina, I cannot say the same for. Emelina, obviously the character for the former Emma in WWE, who was released back in 2017, the same year that picture was taken. They had her saddled with this Emelina gimmick for like many months. They promoted her for months with vignettes, never debuted her, finally debuted her on Raw, only for her to kind of turn her back literally on the gimmick and then go back to being Emma a couple months later. What a complete waste of that woman's career during that period from late 2016 through early 2017. It didn't even really end up mattering anyway because she was only around as Emma through the end of the year and they released her regardless in October of that year. But the Emelina stuff was a complete waste. Honestly, it's not that bad compared to a lot of the other stuff on this list. I mean, it wasn't actively terrible for that long. It was a waste of time, but it wasn't that bad. So honestly, I'll put it in C. And this list is fluid. We can move people around. We can change the order if we want to. I think that's Heidenreich in this next picture. Donald Trump, I'm sorry. Like, I guess any involvement that he's had with wrestling, you know, he had a pretty big... I mean, we'll go to Heidenreich in a second. I just see Trump there. We'll just get this one out of the way now. I know he's the current United States president. We're talking his involvement with WWE. He had a positive impact on some of the first few WrestleManias. He did that whole Battle of the Billionaires match with Mr. McMahon at WrestleMania 23, which had its high moments. Not really the match itself. Not the match. They didn't really wrestle. It was Bobby Lashley and Umaga. They had their representatives. I don't really know what this accounts for. I'm not even really sure why he's on this list. We'll put him in F because it's Donald Trump. I'm sorry. But, I mean, what are we including here? His time as Raw GM, his involvement in WrestleMania 23. I'm not exactly sure what this accounts for, but we'll put him in F just to avoid any controversy here. I can't say Thanos snapped him out of existence because I do remember what he did in WWE, but we'll put him in F. So anyway, back to Heidenreich. Again, what are we talking about here? He's eating a fucking Hershey bar in this picture. I have no idea what this accounts for exactly. Like, I remember the team stuff he did with LOD. I remember the whole Michael Cole bit rather easy for me to say. I'd rather forget about it. Is this supposed to be just Heidenreich as a person or a Heidenreich character? Because if he's eating a Hershey bar here, I have no fucking clue what this is supposed to be. I'm going to put it, Thanos snapped it out of existence. I do not remember this at all. Kung Funaki was pretty, like, I enjoyed it because I like Funaki and he made it fun, but that is just so fucking racist and stereotypical for a Japanese performer to be portraying that character on TV. I don't think it was his idea. I mean, there's been stories about, like, I know R-Truth kind of got it started in Storyline, singing the whole Kung Funaki song. Again, I like Funaki, and it was a memorable character from when I first started watching wrestling in 2008, but a pretty racist gimmick, to be honest. So, I'd put it in okay, it's that bad. We've had worse, but it's an okay, that's bad. Eugene is an interesting one because, again, he's another lovable loser type character, a lot like Kung Funaki, where I like the character. I wasn't watching when he was around, but I go back and some of the stuff he was involved in was fun. Unfortunately, that character, again, is so offensive to, mentally challenged people, stuff like that. They saddled this guy who had, he was obviously not mentally challenged, but they gave him that gimmick to make it funny and to make fun of him and to bully him and stuff like that. So I'm going to put this in the same character, or the same category rather, as the Kung Funaki stuff, where it was offensive and it was bad, but like it had its moments where people really, really liked Eugene. Like you can go back and watch some of the Eugene matches and storylines. Obviously all of these are cringeworthy gimmicks, but with those, at least the Eugene stuff served more of a purpose, in my opinion. I hate to say that because all of these are pretty bad and it was offensive. Like it's bad because it's offensive, but it also had its place in history. So it's kind of hard to justify it. Don't bury me for that opinion. But I might be willing to move it down if other people say otherwise, I guess. But Paul Burchill as a pirate was pretty fucking bad. I guess we'll put this in... F will reserve for, like, the really, really bad shit. Like, the stuff that's just fucking stupid. Paul Burchill will put at the bottom of D. Again, a complete waste of that man's career at that point in his career. They ended up rebranding him as just Paul Burchill after that on Raw, which I actually enjoyed. Him and his sister, quote-unquote, Katie Lee Burchill. But the pirate stuff was just fucking dumb. The B team is not honestly that bad. I mean, it's not redeemed. The B team was not redeemed. The fact they even held the Raw Tag Team titles was a complete waste of time. The B team stuff was just stupid. I'll put this above the Emelina stuff, though, because it did end up becoming, like, they were a fine addition to the tag team division at that point. When they separated themselves from Miz, they embarked on a run of the tag team division, got a run with the tag team titles. Again, not exactly my favorite period of Raw's tag team division. But, they were lovable losers, a lot like Kung Funaki and Eugene, just not offensive, just a bad gimmick. I think these are the American males. Honestly, I just couldn't even tell you. I mean, I wasn't watching at that point. I have no fucking clue. I'm just going to put this in Thanos snapped out of existence, because that doesn't even really get talked about anymore. If it's American males, then I'm more familiar with. I don't think those are the American males, though. I think that's a tag team WWE had at one point. AJ Styles dressing up as Ric Flair was not that bad. So I'll put this up here as well, because at least during that period, he was the TNA World Champion, had some quality matches, dropped the belt a couple months later to Rob Van Dam, and he was completely overshadowed by all the new signings in Jeff Hardy, RVD, Hulk Hogan, Eric Bischoff, and AJ was not really a focal point during that period in TNA's rebranding. But, having him dress up as a Little Nate was not great, but it wasn't that bad. Becky Lynch, honestly, same thing. I'm probably going to be favorable towards some of these here, including the Becky Lynch one. Like, it's bad, but it wasn't, like, offensively bad. She was only the dancing leprechaun Irish woman for, like, a couple of weeks. And then they made her the whole steampunk stuff. Like, they enhanced the steampunk stuff soon after. As soon as she turned heel a few months after this, like, soon after, she was great. I mean, she was already good, but, like, even as a heel before she became the Becky Lynch that we know as today from 10 years ago, that really started with that match with Sasha Banks to take over Unstoppable. This wasn't horrendously awful, so I'll put this below B team, but above Emelina, because at least Becky Lynch made it work. The Emelina stuff was just, that served no purpose at all. Abaddon, I mean, I've never been an Abaddon fan personally. I'll put her in not that bad as well. I'll put it below the B team, but above Becky Lynch. There was a lot of people that liked Abaddon. She's no longer, or they're rather, excuse me, I'm sorry, wrong pronoun. They're no longer in AEW. And they wrestled for quite some time. I mean, they were in that company for a number of years. And they wrestled for the AEW Women's World Championship. Had a fine run there. I just thought the whole gimmick sucked. I didn't really like any of her matches. I didn't think she was all that great in the ring. But, I'm sorry, excuse me, I apologize. But they really, I didn't think were all that great, but they did have their fair share of fans. So again, I'll give Abaddon their credit here and put them in the middle of that C category and not being that bad. Because honestly, some of these are just way fucking worse. Like this one. I mean, the Akeem, the African Dream character, that's just stupid. I mean, come on. The racist stuff, I mean, the stereotypical race sort of gimmicks, just bad. Bad, bad, bad. We'll put that at bottom of D. David Arquette is WCW champion. I mean, it wasn't really a gimmick, but God bless David Arquette. But to put your belt on an actor at that point in time really was the final nail in the coffin of WCW. That was already dying anyway. It was dying on the vine at that point. Was that company? So I'll put it in. I mean, we all remember it, so we'll put it in F. Worse than Trump, I would say. Trump is a debatable one, but we'll put him below Trump. The Zombie is also an F. Rip, not satiristic. I don't mean that satirically either. I mean, the guy actually legitimately passed away about 10 years ago. So rest in peace to the person who portrayed the Zombie on the show. But the character itself really set a bad tone for the WWE ECW brand right out of the gate in 2006. This was just also fucking stupid. And again, did not really do that ECW. Like, I'm also thinking in terms of the David Arquette stuff. Sure, some of the characters in D are more offensive, but like David Arquette's role as WCW champion, God bless the dude, played an active role. Even 25 years later, people remember it, but it played an active role in killing that company. The Zombie stuff did not kill WWE, but it really put a damper on the ECW stuff, literally on the very first episode, just because Sci-Fi wanted more supernatural elements on the show. So we'll put him in F as well. Below David Arquette. David Arquette, he tried. I guess this wasn't as bad, so we'll put it above David Arquette. Xavier Woods, I mean, I guess this accounts for when he first debuted on the main roster, when he was doing who was he teaming with? Brodus Clay? Or no, he was teaming with R-Truth. And he was like a dancing fool. Like, it was just, it really wasn't that bad. I mean, it was a waste of him, but then he found his footing in the New Day soon after. We'll put him in not that bad as well. I liked Xavier Woods, so I'll put him actually below AJ Styles. I liked Woods at this point, and it wasn't, I mean, it kind of didn't kill his career because obviously he salvaged his career with the New Day stuff. It wasn't a great start for him, but everyone has bad gimmicks from the get-go, so that wasn't that terrible. The Boogeyman, I'm going to put him in B. I'm sorry. I like the Boogeyman. I enjoy the Boogeyman. He's become actually a fan favorite anytime he's brought back to WWE in the last 10, 15 years. So I enjoy the Boogeyman for what it is. I'll put him in the B category. Claire Lynch was just fucking terrible. Easily FFF, bottom of F. She was just atrocious. I think the actress actually that portrayed Claire Lynch recently passed away. So again, rest in peace. But I can't say rest in peace to that storyline because, I mean, that storyline should rest in piss. That storyline, again, played an active role in killing any momentum TNA had back in 2012. It was pretty fucking bad. Muhammad Hassan was bad. Obviously, he killed the guy's career. And it wasn't his fault. It was what they had him doing. There was a whole dark side of the ring on this, and we talked about it, reviewed that episode recently here on the channel. But again, I mean, I thought the guy was a decent enough worker in the run itself. Like, the guy had a banger theme song. I don't know. I don't really I mean, it was bad because he never wrestled again. I mean, he actually did have at least an indie match or two after this. Many years later, I believe, after he left WWE. I'll put it in D. I'll put it above I don't know. I like Muhammad Hassan more than any of these other characters. I'll put it in okay, it's that bad because it was offensive. But I feel like he also fared better than any of these other guys with these characters. So I'll put him at the top of D. At least he was prominently positioned, he was pushed, and the only reason he was taken off of television because the gimmick was that bad, which I guess is what this list is all about. But I'll put him at top of D. 3 count from WCW. I wasn't watching at that point, so honestly, I can't really say. I kind of want to put it in Thanos snapped out of existence because, I mean, I can't really speak enough to it as to how bad that group. I mean, but they had good matches, so I don't know. I'll put it at the top of Thanos snapped out of existence. The Snitsky stuff wasn't that bad. This was when he was doing the whole baby thing, right? When he kicked the baby. I mean, it was dumb, but it wasn't like terrible. So I'll put it at a below of a. I mean, this is like bad. So I'll put it above B team, but below Xavier Woods. Honestly, he was actually on the show more than Woods, so I'll put him above Woods but below AJ Styles. At least AJ was the TNA World Champion at that point. Isaac Yankem DDS obviously was terrible. We all remember it. It was very bad. I will put it here because at least he ended up rehabbing his career and becoming Kane. So I'll put him at the top of F, actually. He ended up... The character itself sucked, but at least he was repackaged and redeemed himself with that character as Kane, of course, years later. This was also really terrible. I forgot what the guy's name was, but this was the dude that came out and made fun of Jim Ross during the late 90s, during the Attitude Era, because they thought it would be funny to make fun of the guy while he had Bell's palsy. Just really offensively bad stuff. I'll probably put it below Claire Lynch, because that was like, really? Like, come on, you're making fun of this guy while he's sick? That's just disgusting. So that's probably bottom of F. I remember that. The Jon Moxley thing, he was never signed to WWE, I think, at this point. Obviously, he would come in later as Dean Ambrose, but this was when he was an indie wrestler, I think, and he had fucking pink hair. I don't know what this was about at all. I mean, I've seen the picture before on Twitter, but I have no idea what the context of this picture is whatsoever. So I'm going to put it at Thanos snapped out of existence. I just do not remember him at all with having the pink hair. As far as like a character on television, if it was a one-off, I don't remember. Gilbert was bad. Obviously, he was just supposed to be a parody of Goldberg. He was WCW or WWF, rather, light heavyweight champion for like a year, which was a joke because the belt was a joke and he was a joke. I mean, it was bad. I'll put it honestly at, okay, it's that bad. I mean, it wasn't really that bad, honestly. It wasn't as bad as some of these other ones. We'll put it in the C category. We will put it below, I'll probably put it below all these other characters because it was fucking dumb and it had a very short shelf life, but it wasn't like that terrible to where it was like offensively bad. The Gobbledygooker, we'll put it in redeemed because it's become like a comedy thing in the last 30 years. Like, oh, it's the Gobbledygooker, blah, blah, blah. And we'll put in a bottom of redeemed, but like, yeah, it was a stupid character, but at least we had The Undertaker debut on that same show at Survivor Series 1990. It wasn't as if The Undertaker came out of the fucking egg. That would have just been stupid. So we'll put it in a bottom of B. The Sarah Palin character that Daphne did in TNA, I think that's what this is of. I think that's what that picture's of. This was also pretty bad. I mean, at least they ended up redeeming her with the whole, Daphne character. They let her be Daphne in TNA after that. Again, rest in peace. But this character was just dumb. They tried to capitalize on the politic landscape at that point in 2008. It was just stupid. Let's see. I'll probably put this above... I don't know, the Trump stuff. I mean, I'm not even really sure why Trump is on here. It's just kind of dumb, because that's actually a picture of him at the White House. It's not a character or a gimmick that he did in WWE. But because it's Trump, we'll put it in F. The Sarah Palin Daphne character, we'll put it below Trump, above the zombie. That's Goldust, this Black Rain, I believe, in TNA, which is pretty dumb. We'll put it at the top of D, because it wasn't offensively bad, but it was pretty bad. And I think he was all kind of messed up with drugs and alcohol at this point. Maybe not. Maybe that was prior to this point. But it was still a pretty bad character that was short-lived, so we'll put it at the top of D. Shockmaster's become like this amazing thing in the last 30 years, like one of the greatest botches in history. So again, we'll put that in the redeemed category. It was bad, obviously. It was a very stupid gimmick, but it's become one of the greatest botches of all time in wrestling history. So we'll put him above the Gobbledygooker, but below the Boogeyman. Shorty G. This list is from 2020 when you have fucking Shorty G on here. Chad Gable is Shorty G. This was bad. Very bad character. Obviously, he was redeemed. He was repackaged back as Chad Gable about a year later. Thank God. But this was bad while it lasted. We'll put it in D. I'll put it at the top of D because at least he was having good matches at that point. These other characters are just offensively bad. This was offensive as far as a waste of Chad Gable, but it wasn't like offensive as far as anyone was offended by it. Like, it wasn't making fun of anyone, let's say, aside from Chad Gable himself. The Kevin Thorne character, I honestly kind of like the Kevin Thorne character, the stuff that he was doing in, are we talking ECW here, like in 2006, 2007? I honestly kind of liked it, so I'll put this in not that bad, to be honest with you. I'll put it above Snitsky, but below AJ. I mean, it wasn't great, it didn't have a long shelf life, and I forgot what kind of killed that character, but I didn't think it was that bad. This was when I think Conan was in there as the fucking Moon Man or whatever. I mean, this was just stupid. I remember it, so I won't put it in Thanos snapped out of existence. I forgot the name that the character had. So, I guess I could put it in that category if I wanted to. But we'll put it in F because it was just pretty... These were like offensively bad, so we'll put him in the same category where it was a waste of the person portraying it, but it wasn't like as offensive. I mean, Paul Burchill, same thing. That was just a stupid character. I guess these are more offensive culturally. But anyway, Mordecai also sucked. Very short-lived gimmick. Let's see. We'll probably put it in the Isaac Yankem category. It was pretty bad. At least he kind of looked cooler than Isaac Yankem, so we'll put it above Isaac Yankem, actually. Rosie is the superhero. Superhero in training, a.k.a. Shit. Another character that has since passed away, actually. Rest in peace to Rosie. It wasn't really that bad. I mean, it was dumb because he was also in the 3-minute warning right before this, but people liked the trio, I think, of Stacy, Keebler, Hurricane, and Rosie. So we'll put him in the C category as not being that bad, but it's near there, so we'll put it there. Mantar was just bad. That was just fucking stupid. We'll put him in, I don't know. Probably an F. I mean, this was pretty stupid. We'll put that here. Yeah, we'll put it there. Spirit Squad was bad. You know what, actually? They won the World Tag Titles, and they were I mean, it was bad. So I guess we could put it in not that bad. I don't know. It was bad enough where we'll put it in the C category. At least they won titles, so we'll put it at the top of D. So we'll put it in okay. It is that bad, but it was still pretty bad. This I have no recollection of, that the SWAT's gone on there. I have no idea who that is, where that's from. We are going to put that at the bottom of that one, because at least these I recognize. This I also don't really remember at all. I mean, I recognize the dude. Isn't that, his name begins with a V. I remember him because he was in SmackDown vs. Raw 2006 or 7. And I don't know the character at all. I'm just not really aware, so we'll put it there. Do not really know. I think that's Tons of Funk, Brodus Clay, and Tensai from 2012. I mean, this was dumb and a complete waste of both guys that should be monsters, but I mean, I don't know. It wasn't that bad. I mean, these other ones were pretty bad. And, you know, they were over for a little while there as well, so, I mean, they made it work. It was stupid. We'll probably put it at not that bad, but at the very bottom of that category. The zombie or whatever that was from WCW was also just stupid. We will put that in F. We'll put that here. Let's see. Where do we put that? I mean, it was pretty bad. So we'll put it. I mean, it's the same level as the zombie from ECW. So we'll put it. The Mummy, not the zombie. The zombie's from ECW. The Mummy's from WCW. We'll put it here. I mean, that sight of him. It wasn't as bad as the zombie actually, because the zombie was on the first episode of ECW. It did more to hurt that brand than the Mummy did for WCW. At least the Mummy was at Halloween Havoc, I think. And he had that funny moment where he was out there, like, humping whoever he was in the ring with. I swear to God, that's exactly what it looks like. This I have no recollection of at all. I kind of remember the team. I think this is Glacier, maybe. I have no idea. So we'll put that in Thanos Snapped Out of Existence. No one even talks about it now, so we'll put it in that same category. Put it there. And then Brody Lee, I'm not even really sure why this is on there, because the idea of Brody Lee leading Dark Order didn't make a whole lot of sense before he officially debuted in the role. And the whole idea of an Exalted One kind of seems silly because the Dark Order was a bad group when I mean, it's not a great group now, but they ended up, like, the Exalted One stuff with Brody Lee actually saved the Dark Order in 2020 from being completely irrelevant, especially after that terrible angle that closed the final Dynamite of 2019. But Brody Lee came in there, kind of salvaged the group as its leader, and did a pretty decent job before he passed away later on in 2020. So again, rest in peace. But we'll put him in Redeemed. I like Brody Lee as the Exalted One, and I thought he did a really good job. We'll put him even above Cameron Grimes, because at least even Brody Lee was able to win gold in that character, that being the TNT title later on in 2020 before he passed away. His final match, actually, was him walking into it as the TNT champion and losing that match to Cody Rhodes. But nonetheless, that is our list. Just to even this out a little bit, because we can have 3 full rows here if I move some of these back. I'm going to move Tons of Funk to the top of D. It was that bad, but I think Spirit Squad was worse. So we'll have 3 full rows here for C, D, and F. And then we'll have 5 in B, and then 7 in the last category, that being Thanos Snapped Out of Existence. I won't even run down what these are. We have 3 count, Heidenreich, forgot that tag team, unless it's American Males, I don't know. That dude from one of the SmackDown vs. Raw games, John Moxley, that dude with a swastika on his chest for some reason. and the Street Fighter team. Again, I have no real recollection of a lot of those gimmicks, so I won't rank them with the rest. I'm glad there's a category for Thanos snapped out of existence, because I feel like that's more fitting, especially with there's no A either, which also makes sense. But in F, we have the dude that made fun of Jim Ross. I forgot his name. I would remember it if I heard it, but I just don't remember off the top of my head. the head writer of WWF at that point, or one of the head writers. Anyway, so that Claire Lynch, David Arquette as WCW champion, the Zombie, the Mummy, Daphne as the Sarah Palin character back in TNA in 2008. I guess it's kind of fitting that we have two political characters right next to each other, and Donald Trump right next to her. Mantor, whatever the fuck the guy's, whatever his name was. Isaac Inc. and DDS, Mordecai. In the D category, we have Akeem the African Dream, Paul Burchill, the Pirate, Eugene, Kung Fu Naki, Muhammad Hassan, Black Rain. Forgot that dude's name, but I think it's Conan, right? Shorty G, Spirit Squad, Tons of Funk. And then in the C category, we have Rosie, Gilbert, Emelina, Becky Lynch when she debuted, Abaddon, B-Team, Xavier Woods when he debuted, Snitsky at this point, I think in 2004, Kevin Thorne, AJ Styles circa January of 2010, February 2010 when he was with Ric Flair. And then in the redeemed category, Gobbledygooker, we have the Shockmaster, Boogeyman, Cameron Grimes in 2019-2020, and Brody Lee as the Exalted One. So that is the list of worst wrestling gimmicks. Thank you again to West Coast Pop on X for putting that together on tierlistmaker.com. If you want to check it out, full link is down below in the description box, so check that out. Fill out the list for yourself. Be sure to like this video and subscribe on the way out, as well as subscribe to the WrestleRant All Access Pass $5 a month membership. Down below, more information on that to get videos like this early and ad-free before anyone else. And we'll be back next week, with another all-new episode of WrestleRant Ranks. Till then, guys, have an awesome one. I'm Graham Giacomo Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.